Welcome to Real Estate Exposed, helping people in San Diego buy, sell, and refinance their biggest investment, delivering you timely truths, exposing important issues, and helping you get into the right home. Here are your hosts, real estate expert Daniel Beer, top-ranked professional by sales volume at one of San Diego's largest brokerages, and his mortgage partner, Todd Pianin, with over $2 billion in funded loans.
Good morning. Are you over that Super Bowl hangover yet? My God, what a game.
What an unbelievable comeback. I cannot believe that game. I mean, that was I'm a huge Tom Brady fan, and I kept just saying don't count Tom Brady out, and boy did he performed. They're talking about him actually retiring. Did you hear that?
You have a Tom Brady poster in your bathroom, don't you?
No, I have a sign
right by your shower.
Right by my shower. I have a signed Tom Brady football. Thanks, so Dan. Dan's walked my house multiple times. He knows what's in my house.
I am just kidding. Amazing though. That was unbelievable, incredible fun. And I'll tell you this season, even as
it's the first time ever Super Bowl's gone in overtime.
Even as a former Charger fan, in a lifelong Patriot hater, what they've done, I can't help but admire.
Right.
It is amazing.
Yep.
Amazing, amazing. I've really grown to admire what the organization that they've built. Very cool. You're listening to Real Estate Exposed with Daniel Beer, Todd Pianin, and we're looking to share ways, tips, tricks, insights that nobody else out there puts out in the open on how this industry really works, how you can really benefit your home sale, your purchase, your lending, what kind of mortgage you get into, how you go through a smooth transaction. That's something big to talk about today, right? Because unbelievable some of the goofy stuff that goes on, especially as it relates to when people lock on to a lender that maybe they just ran into at a bank branch or somewhere completely unproven, and they just hope that person performs, and the mess that can get them into.
I mean, listen, I don't want to go on a rant, but I will. A couple of things that just got me really fired up this morning. I talked to a client this morning, and he'd been working with a lender on a refinance of a duplex investment property. He's an investor. We've talked about investment properties. He's been working with this lender since May of last year, Dan. May of last year. Finally, they tell him in January, we don't think we can do your loan for you. I'm sitting there going to myself, this is what I'm thinking to myself, you've been working with this guy for 8 months?
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, and the rates
were
great.
Why hadn't the lender told him previously?
He said he kept papering him with information, papering him with questions. It was just a constant paper battle. It was just they would just start taking him down this rabbit hole that he could never get out of. And so he just kept thinking okay, we're going to hear the approval. 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 Then finally, November, December, he said they went completely dark. He finally reached out to the lender and said, guys, let's be professional here. If you don't want to do the loan or you can't do the loan, just give me a call and let me know. I mean, how do you I'm asking you, the listener, how do you allow yourself to be treated like that?
Had something changed in that person's situation between May of last year and today?
Well, I'm getting the package this week, so I'll be able to give you an update next week.
And how long will it take you to give him a firm yes or a firm no?
Well, we give you firm yeses and firm no's within, an hour?
Of all the documentation being in yes.
Yeah.
And what I've also noticed is that the documentation comes in and it comes in. It doesn't come in and then you need something else and then you need something else. Correct. And then you need something else. So I don't know if that's a matter of disorganization on the other guy's part, or some guys just honestly don't know exactly what they're looking at and looking for because they don't have the eye of an underwriter the way you do.
Well, they just don't know what they're doing, right? So they just think that they can get in the mortgage business and all of a sudden you can be a mortgage guy and you can, sell interest rates, and you don't understand how people's tax returns work or how they, move money around, and you can't explain it to an underwriter. I mean, it's just it's so frustrating to me, I just can't. It really upsets me when when the clients do and stay with a lender and try to hold on.
Well, they're doing what they're asked to.
Right, exactly. And they're providing the information. I just don't get it. We had another client the other day who called us on a deal and basically been working with this client for 6 weeks. And so we thought we developed a pretty strong relationship with him. And then out of the blue, he says a broker quotes him this unbelievable interest rate. So he says he's going to go with the broker.
Wait. An unbelievable interest rate.
Unbelievable interest rate.
So I heard somebody I heard a speaker say once that when somebody says something is unbelievable,
Right.
it is not to be believed.
Correct.
It is unbelievable.
Right.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, so it's not to be it's not to be believed. This was like something that we couldn't even. We'd have to write a huge check to make this deal work. So the client's like, I'm going to go with this broker. He just met the broker, I don't know, at a coffee shop or what have you, whatever's going on. So we ended up telling him, and this is another lie that lenders will say, is that they tell you that you can only work with one lender through a transaction. That is completely false, and that you could be jeopardizing your purchase if you choose to only work with one lender who offers you some kind of pie in the sky.
Okay, wait. And by the way, you're listening to Todd Pianin right now, Vice President, Branch Manager, Home Street Bank. You're telling me that a scare tactic lenders will use is to tell their borrower that if they engage a second lender to have a second opinion, make sure they have the right rate, make sure they have the right terms, and certainly make sure there's performance, that there are lenders that as a scare tactic will tell them that if they do so, they're jeopardizing the loan entirely?
Correct. 100%. So he was like, I got to go with this guy. I mean, his rate is, 3/8 unbelievably better than our rate.
Yes.
So I went back to him and I said to him straight up, I said, listen, how about we do this? How about you apply with lender A, and if lender A performs, great, no harm, no foul. But also apply with us. So that way you can guaranteed, we know we can get you a loan. You've already our interest rates. You were comfortable with our interest rates last night. So how about we just move forward down the road? So then we get a call from the listing agent after our appraisal's been ordered. She said she hasn't heard from this other broker.
Like he's MIA.
He's completely gone. And also,
no one knows where he is.
No, and the best part of this is a 21-day escrow. Okay?
That's amazing.
So then, P.S., the buyer's agent also calls and says that the broker who he was working with has not even asked him for a copy of the purchase contract. Has not heard from him. So we started it's again 21-day escrow. We're not going to have the appraisal in until the 8th, which is today. But we got loan approval within 24 hours. It's unbelievable.
I'm going to give out a phone number if somebody wants to pick your brain.
Yeah.
Maybe they've even had a similar experience and they want to figure out why did it happen, how did it happen.
And then they want to talk to them about it.
Exactly.
It's so frustrating.
If you're looking for a reputable, dependable lender, one who says yes when it's yes, no when it's no, gives you a straight answer, lets you move on with your life. See, that's what this is all about. It's honoring you by allowing you to, by providing you real information, even if it's not what you want to hear, but in truth it is, right? Because most people want to hear the real thing so they can avoid wasting their time.
Right.
If you're looking for the real thing, Todd Pianin, Home Street Bank, 800-676-2420. 800-676-2420. What gets me when I'm listening to a story like that, Todd, is how do you even end up working with that lender, right? With a lender like that, or with a real estate professional like that, or look, like with a dentist like that, with a doctor like that, with any professional like that. How does that happen? Because it's very easy to hook up with a proven professional, a real industry expert. It's easy to hook up with somebody like that. In this space, you could simply call 800-676-2420. You could find Todd Pianin online. If you're in the dentistry space, you could find that person that's legit, has the business, that's in town with all the good reviews, everyone loves and that has just been there, is proven. And if you're looking for an accountant, you can find the industry expert. Why would you tinker around with somebody like this?
Amateurs.
It's an amazing thing.
I mean, what I always say, Dan, is one of the questions I always ask is I say, ask this person how long they've worked at their company, how many companies they've worked for, and how long they've been in the business.
Well, and how much are they actually doing, right? Because some companies have an unbelievably low standards.
Correct.
So even if they've been at XYZ mortgage company for 10 years, they might have been there for 10 years and did 10 loans the entire time.
Exactly.
So because some of them just have very low standards.
Right.
So like on the real estate side, I say you make sure that you're working with somebody that does at least a deal a week. Right. 50 homes a year. one deal a week, assuming a little vacation.
Right.
Make sure, just so that that person has enough at-bats. Same goes for any industry.
I mean, we try to do our average. We try to do 10 to 12 transactions a month as a minimum. 10 to 12 transactions as a minimum is our average. Is what we try to.
And so 18 years later, you've seen it all.
Yes.
Call 800-676-2420. You're listening to Daniel Beer, Todd Pianin, and we're going to talk about how to get access to more coming up next. We had a big snafu last week, so we owe you an apology because a lot of you were looking to get access to more. The website wasn't up as promised. It now is. And if you're a frustrated buyer who is realizing that when you see a good property that you find online, well, so has everybody else, and you show up and there's multiple offers and you're losing out, the way to win is to access inventory that isn't yet publicly available. Bypass the competition. It takes a team to do it. We've set up a website for you, accesstomore.com, and we're going to dive into that topic next. So you've been looking for a home, and your frustration level is getting sky high. I'm Dan Beer, #1 producing agent by sides and volume at Keller Williams Realty across San Diego County, and my man Todd Pianin, Vice President, Branch Manager, Home Street Bank.
So my question is, why are people getting so frustrated, Dan? I mean, what's going on? I mean, what's the real deal here?
Well, it all starts with how people go about the buying process. Most people in the public throw themselves into the status quo process everybody else is going through. So the way in which others buy homes is the way they start buying homes. Few of you stop, pause, slow down, and ask good questions. What's a good question? Well, they sound something like, why am I doing it this way? Is there a better way? Am I really seeing all the available homes? Because there seem to be very few. Or are there possibly homes that only the elite buyer, and by the way, elite not meaning rich, elite meaning smart.
Explain that. What do you mean by that?
The smart buyer has access to more. Okay? The smart buyer doesn't just wait around and watch a sign pop up on somebody's yard and then go to the open house.
Right.
The smart buyer doesn't just wait for a Zillow alert to tell them there's a new listing, because the smart buyer understands that another 1,000 buyers around town are getting the same alert.
Right.
Okay? They don't just pop into the open house because they understand that at the open house, they're in a bowl of competition with other buyers. So the smart buyer, which I'm going to call the elite buyer, at any price point, by the way, doesn't matter if you're looking for a $200,000 studio or a $1 million home. The smart buyer at any price point understands that in order to get an edge, they must have access to more. We've actually set up a page where you could submit what you're looking for to get access to more so that it can be dug up on your behalf. I'm getting ahead of myself there.
Yeah,
okay,
you
that's
are.
accesstomore.com.
Yeah.
But here's what it looks like. Let me actually take you through. We already described what the status quo buying experience is like.
Right.
Here's how you actually get access to more. Let's put some meat behind it.
Yes, please.
So you're looking for theoretically a 3-bedroom, 2-bath in a nice little family neighborhood in Vista. Okay, great. The smart elite buyer understands that there are kitchen table conversations happening under the radar where families are having conversations that sound something like, honey, we should sell the home. It's almost time to move to Utah. Sweetheart, let's get divorced.
I don't mean to laugh. Sorry.
Baby, let's get married,
Right,
right?
right.
We're having kids.
we're
Our kids are leaving the house, etc. It might be time to move.
Or we're having twins.
And so, yeah, or you're having twins like yours truly.
Yep.
So what do? They understand that there are homes about to become publicly available, but if we can get to them first before anybody else, then you bypass competition and you can negotiate that home in a vacuum. And so those people align themselves with agents that have the resources and tools, and it's both human resources and technology resources, to access those listings before anybody else knows of them. On our team, the the Beer Home team at Keller Williams, but specifically the Beer Home team, understand that every team within every brokerage runs differently.
Right.
The Beer Home team, beer is spelled just like the drink. We actually have a team of people dedicated to finding those properties. They have tools where we literally furnish them. Once we understand you're looking for that 3-bedroom, 2-bath within X amount of square feet
in a certain neighborhood,
we will get those records. We will actually find phone numbers and emails for them.
Right.
And our calling team at the office, which you can come visit at the office, will literally call into those homes with something like this. Hey, Mr. and Miss, hi, Mr. and Miss Jones family, right? Sorry to interrupt you, but we have buyers that are specifically looking in your neighborhood for a 3-bed, 2-bath within this amount of square footage. We understand your home matches that. But most importantly, we wanted to ask if you know of anybody in the neighborhood who's considering a home sale, because we already have a ready, approved, pre-qualified buyer in hand, and we can make the process of you moving to the next place extremely easy on you. Right?
How does the consumer take that, Dan? Because my question is, if you called me, I would first think this is kind of like a telemarketing call.
Yeah. So you can't live in a world of fear.
Right.
You can't live in a world of let's not call anybody because somebody may not like it.
Right.
You just can't. Okay. 188 homes sold later from just 2016.
Right.
Hundreds and hundreds over the course of my career, $250 million in sales in just the last 24 months.
Right.
When you get active and when you're proactive, you're going to find them. You'd be surprised how pleasant most people are. And the key question there is, who do you know in the neighborhood? See, if it's them, they'll say it's them.
Got it.
But if we're asking who do you know in the neighborhood, they might say, well, we actually know the people across the street are considering it because he just got a job offer in
Utah,
Phoenix,
right.
Utah.
Right.
So that's one way, though. So maybe you're Todd. Maybe you're the guy that didn't want to answer the phone. Well, why aren't we emailing you? Why aren't we knocking on your door? Why aren't we sending you physical mail, a handwritten letter? You owe it to yourself, if you're buying a home, to have that level of sophistication and aggression, because you cannot just simply jump over to the next home that hits online that everybody else is looking at if you expect to pay a fair value.
Right.
Because values, people are simply, buyers are finding themselves in an extremely competitive market. And to bypass them, you have to get access to more. We've actually set up a very simple page for you where you could tell us exactly what the parameters are, and we'll dig it up. Okay, we'll dig it up. I'm not talking about sending you some online listing. You've already seen those. Everyone's already seen those. Let's dig up access to more. Go to accesstomore.com. 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 We apologize if you tried visiting the page last week. It was down. It is now up. It is ready for you. Our team will see that. Then we will start to dig in and find the property. If you're working with anything more than a door opener, they're showing you property that isn't necessarily online. Anybody and everybody could do that right out of real estate school. If you want a subject matter expert with the tools and resources to give you a financial advantage, just reach out. Beer Home Team. Call 800-676-2420 or simply go to accesstomore.com. Accesstomore.com. Real Estate Exposed, Dan Beer, Todd Pianin, and I have a question that you may have as well. There is very little understanding among most people how a lender actually gets paid. Most people understand how a real estate agent gets paid because it's very simple. They understand there's a commission involved, and typically it's advertised. It's totally out in the open. And they know if it's a 3% or whatever commission it might be. And I feel like that's one thing the industry's done well. There's very clear disclosure on how we get paid as agents. Transparency, correct. Right. That's the right word. Todd, how do lenders get paid? And are there different types of lenders that get paid in different ways? I know it can be a bit of a complicated subject, but can you give us the Sunday morning version so that the consumers can be educated on exactly what things they might look for to understand if they're being taken advantage of or not?
So let's talk about banks, okay? Big banks, like we're a big bank, right? So big banks, lenders are compensated basically based on their volume. So what that would mean is that if they do a certain dollar volume every month, they're going to get paid basis points on that, which would be like percentage points on your transaction, Stan. But they're going to get paid a percentage points on the loan amount. So they could be as little as 0.7 basis points, and it could be as high as, let's call it, 125 basis points, depending upon which bank you work for and what kind of deal you work. So to give you an example, if they were paid at 100 basis points, which is what most people are paid at, let's just say for the sake of argument, if you fund $1 million in loans, you're going to make $10,000 on that transaction. So if you do $2 million in loans, you're going to make $20,000 that month on that transaction. That's how basically most banks operate. Then you go into the field of mortgage.
So that seems pretty straightforward.
It's pretty straightforward. And if you ask me how much I'm making on your loan, I tell you straight up. I mean, Tyson and I have no secrets. We don't really care. For us, transparency is key, and we don't want someone thinking they're getting taken advantage of. So
sometimes they might be surprised to find out how little it is.
Correct. I did like a 2.7. We did a 2.7 loan last month, and because we work for a big bank, we have what's called caps on what we can make. So because of the cap, we were, it's a $2.7 million loan. Yes, we're paid 100 basis points, but our cap is $10,000. So truly, we should have gotten paid $27,000 on that loan, but we only got paid $10,000 on that loan. So again, you have caps. Mortgage banking companies run similar to the way that we run, meaning that they will do, similar tier structure plans where they could, based on volume of the loan officer, they can do that. Some don't. Some I would hate to tell you, are not as transparent, and they play games. And there's a lot of stuff in the media recently. I don't know if you've read the articles about some of the companies. I don't want to talk about some of the mortgage banking companies that have gotten into trouble out there for misrepresenting or not being transparent with their clients and paying loan officers more. Brokerage companies, example would be a guy who just has a shingle, works out of his buddy's, office or whatever, and does loans for somebody. He basically can collect whatever he can collect on the deal because he can run it through his corporation, and if he's making money, he can make money on those transactions, and you really don't really know what he's making. So I would say your first, your safety nets. The biggest question is always ask, how much are you making on my loan?
Yeah, that's interesting, right? Because people don't ask that.
Right.
It's a really interesting concept.
Right.
Everyone's wondering, right, but nobody asks.
Right. I tell people if they ask, I just tell them right away. Here's what I'm making. By the way,
you're speaking to, really one of the most respected people across the country in the lending space, Todd Pianin, Vice President, Branch Manager, Home Street Bank, over $2 billion, I believe it is, in funded loans. You're talking about a guy that's done the loans for Khloe Kardashian. Is it Khloe?
Khloe
Kardashian, and the head of E! Entertainment Television, and
I just remembered Sarah Blakely too. I did her loan.
Just a top-notch guy. Yeah. But those are just the fun ones to mention, right, along with Marshall Falk, others. But you're talking about somebody that also does the everyday man's loan.
I love doing
on a consistent basis.
I love doing the everyday man's loan.
And so, pick his brain.
Yeah.
And just ask. Take this with you. What are you making? Just
Right.
if you're not working with Todd for whatever reason you've chosen not to work with Todd for, ask whoever you're working with. What are you making? How are you making? And most importantly, I believe, how's that affecting my interest rate?
Correct.
Because isn't there a relationship between the two at times, Todd?
For brokerage firms, yes. For mortgage banking and for banks, absolutely not.
So the mortgage broker is incentivized to have a higher interest rate, which is where they make more money?
Can be, yes.
Can be, but not always.
Not always.
And that's where the complications comes in.
So when you work with a mortgage broker versus a mortgage banker, and it's a one-man shop. Let's just say it's a one-man shop. Again, you don't really know what they're making. They don't really tell you what they're making because they're not really it's not a mortgage company. It's a guy who's working out of his home office or whatever, and he may have different deals. He's getting paid to his corporation, and he may be pushing you to a different lender. I mean, there's still a lot of cloudiness around the mortgage broker versus somebody like a mortgage banker or a bank. And I'm not saying that all mortgage bankers do. Some mortgage bankers can act like what we're talking about with mortgage brokers too, but it's a real simple question. How much are you making? If the guy's scared to tell you or the girl's scared to tell you how much they're making on your loan, then obviously they don't feel like
there's something off
right.
there.
I have no problem because for me, I feel like I earn the money that I'm being paid to do my loan, to do your loan. So
you're bringing value to the table.
Correct. I mean, if I go to my heart surgeon and I say how much is the surgery going to cost, he's going to tell me. I'm not going to go negotiate with him. You know, I mean,
if you feel like at any point you've been taken advantage of, and the mortgage lender, broker, banker, or schmorger,
whatever.
So many.
Right. Banker, broker.
The guy that did your loan, the gal that did your loan, you feel like there might have been some funny play there. You want to understand exactly how it could go down next time. Todd Pianin, call him. Just pick his brain. 800-676-2420. That might apply for a refinance as well.
Or cash out refinances now, that's a pretty hot topic.
Yeah, and with those higher rates, before they are even higher, this is it. Get that refinance done. 800-676-2420. Having said that, speaking of that cash out refi, well, this is also one of the last opportunities for us to lock in low interest rate investment property.
Yep.
So cash out refi. Again, Todd Pianin, Home Street Bank, 800-676-2420. You're listening to me, Daniel Beer of the Beer Home team. And make a commitment moving forward that you are from now on going to simply ask the obvious question. But for some reason, the cat gets the tongue, or what's the saying? The mouse gets the tongue?
No,
is it the cat or the mouse? One of those two animals gets tongue, don't they?
Yeah, something gets tongue.
Those two love tongue.
What the thing is, what I want to point out, as Dan figures this out, what I want to point out is when you're dealing with.
I figure this out and start Googling it.
Yeah. What I want to point out is if you deal with professionals, as like Dan has told you in the past, and Dan has the minute by minute listing contract. We're not afraid when you work with people who are professionals. We're not afraid.
Is there transparency?
There's transparency.
Are there guarantees? Are you locked in regardless of performance, or can you get out and make sure that you have your future in your control?
Right.
All that's critical. Daniel Beer, Todd Pianin, you're listening to Real Estate Exposed. This is News Radio 600 Kogo. It's a wonderful Sunday morning. And remember, if you're fed up with the lack of buying inventory, if you can't find the right house, and when you do, so did another 5 buyers, and you want access to what nobody else yet sees, drop in on this website here. Very simple. accesstomore.com. accesstomore.com. We've set up a very simple page. You're going to tell us exactly what you're looking for, and then our calling team, which we literally have at the office here on site, will dig up the property you're looking for, regardless of if it's on the market publicly or not. Let's face it, if all you're looking at is publicly available homes, you're just going about it the same way the masses do. You're going about it in a status quo fashion. I, for one, am not in any way comfortable with my life in the hands of amateurs. Neither should you be. Demand more. accesstomore.com. accesstomore.com. Oh, man.
Always pick songs for you.
A little bit of Tom Petty in your life is never a bad thing.
I love how he always picks songs for you. It's just...
Oh, let's let this go a little bit.
I know.
Oh, yeah. All right.
Let's get back to real estate. Let's get back to real estate, Dan.
You're listening to Real Estate Exposed, News Radio 600 Kogo, segment number 4, right before the end of the hour. And
I got questions.
Yeah, what's up?
I got to know what's going on in the marketplace. Because
go, shoot.
Okay, so like last week you said there were like 4,800 active listings in San Diego market, which basically put us about, after we took out the lemons, we figured it was probably about a month and a week's worth of inventory, right? So where are we at today? Right around 4,900?
There's about an extra 100 homes on the market than there were last week, which is good news, but still drop in the bucket. We're still in very low inventory levels. Now, having said that, the trend is starting ever so slowly to rise.
Right.
And that will continue until the end of, or right through the summer. Inventory will rise from here all the way through about October,
right,
where it will begin to drop again.
Do you think you'll get like to where do we? I mean, at the height, didn't we get to like almost 6 months worth of inventory at one point?
What height?
Like last year when we had low inventory the year last year too.
No. The highest it got was almost 3.
3 months?
Yeah, except for now we're down closer to a month and a half, and so it is devastatingly low. But again, if you're a home seller, you really need to wake up here, because if you're one of those home sellers that is waiting for the spring or the summer because that's when CNN told you was a good time to sell,
right?
Well, if you've been listening to the show the whole time here,
you know that's wrong.
There's buyers are going nuts trying to find the right property.
Right.
And we see even in this 1 week since last week, we have an extra 100 homes on the market, and that trend will continue all the way through summer and then drop back down at the end of fall. If you're looking to take advantage of the greatest selling market that I have seen in my 11 years, you need to start now. Don't just go do what everybody else is doing because spring and summer supposedly is the selling season. That's crap, okay? Straight crap. I don't know where you got that, but it wasn't from anybody doing any kind of
CNN.
real level of business.
CNN.
Yeah, exactly. That might be true in Minnesota or in Maine or in North Dakota, or possibly true in Ohio. It is absolutely not true in San Diego, where we have a year-round market. You right now can take advantage of the lowest inventory I've seen in 11 years doing in this business.
Wait, so we've never seen inventories this low?
I've never seen inventory this low. I'd have to go back and see if perhaps there was a moment in 2005 when we broached this level.
Right.
But it is devastatingly low, and
what does that mean to values, Dan? Does that mean like values will, because we predicted last year you thought values were going to trickle off, right? So not to bring back last year's numbers, but my question to you, what does that do? If there's if you just supply economics, it's going to push.
Right now you have an upward force on pricing. Right now you do. In terms of looking out a little bit further, and where are we in the 12 to 24 month view?
Right.
Well, let's just be very simplistic about this. The last market recession began 10 years ago.
Right.
It's actually maybe even in 2006, a little more than 10 years ago. So you very much are closer to the next recession than you are to the height, okay, or you are to the beginning of a recession. We're a lot closer to the beginning of the next shift. Now,
downturn.
Trump and his has definitely made the picture a lot foggier.
Right.
Okay, there's a lot of moving parts now, so it's not quite as crystal clear to me as it was prior to the election. You have all this interest rate movement, but you also have a big buyer push coming into the market, trying to take advantage of the rates while they last.
Right.
You have an inflationary, or a lot of inflationary talk coming from the administration, which I do believe what they say because they do everything they say.
Right. Apparently,
and so you're likely to see some inflation. But then again, interest rates will rise to counterbalance it. There's a lot of moving parts to this, and frankly, I don't know who's smart enough to understand all of the different dominoes.
But are you seeing houses that you're putting on the market today going at higher numbers than even what you predicted they would go for? Or I don't mean to put you on the spot.
At times, yes. At times, right on. Sometimes people get over aggressive, and you can. This is definitely a market you can take advantage of as a seller, so long as you're a pig and not a hog, right? Pigs get fat.
Slaughtered. Pigs get fat. Hogs get slaughtered. Here we go. I got that one right.
And if that was ever true, it's true now.
Right.
People that want to take advantage of the market sell for more than they otherwise might have been able to. They're making out great.
Right.
People that really want to overshoot that, they just simply end up. Well, look, didn't a whole bunch of properties cancel and expire in the last week?
226 is what you
So
told
you
me.
end up in that pile of 226 homes that just in the last week ended up failing and coming off the market
in a seller's
unsold.
market. In a seller's market.
In the greatest seller's market.
Right.
Okay, so you still have to know how to appropriately position yourself, use the concepts of virtual shelf space to your advantage, all the things we teach, and it has been a wild and good Sunday morning with you. Unfortunately, we are out of time, so I have to say goodbye to y'all. Reminder, accesstomore.com, because of that buying environment we're in, and if you want to bypass it, get homes that nobody else yet sees, and negotiate without the competition, go to accesstomore.com or call 800-676-2420. Look up the Beer Home Team. I'm Daniel Beer. Todd Pianin is with me of Home Street Bank, and it's been a good Sunday morning.
Todd Pianin, Home Street Bank. You can find me on Google me anywhere. But Home Street Bank's a member of the FDIC, equal housing lender, NMLS ID number 304014. Thanks for spending your Sunday morning with us. Have a great day.